65,000 Palestinians have been killed since October 7th, 2023. Of those 65,000, there are estimates that 20,000 are children. There was a recent report that there were Israeli airstrikes on the Al-Rantisi hospital in Gaza City, resulting in some 80 children having to be evacuated from that medical center. As a healthcare practitioner, as someone who has spent his life training to take care of people who are in distress, who need support, who need to be healed, what goes through your mind when you see a hospital, a medical center, being hit?
I think what better definition than genocide to explain this, to directly attack the institutions that are there for healing, the last line of defense for people's lives. And if we were to look at international humanitarian law, if we were to look at conflicts and wars, there are rules, even in times of war, in times of conflict, that hospitals are out of bounds, even in those circumstances of war and conflict, which it is not in this context. The threshold is very high to attack a hospital. And what Israel has done has essentially attacked all the hospitals in Gaza, one by one, and they target healthcare workers. We have firsthand accounts and reports from healthcare workers in Gaza where people are singled out for wearing scrubs, for wearing white coats.
There's some 1,500 healthcare workers who've been killed.
And there are hundreds that remain disappeared and being held in Israeli torture camps, like Dr. Hassam Abu Safia, who remains in Israeli custody, and it's been about 10 months now since his disappearance from Kamal Adwan Hospital. And these are a generation of Palestinian doctors and healthcare workers who are not only the medical educators, but they're the providers of healing and of medicine for their people. And they've been systematically targeted and killed and wiped out with their families or thrown into these prisons.
The Israelis say that when they target these hospitals, they're targeting them because Hamas finds refuge in these structures, that Hamas militants are in these hospitals, and sometimes they are the doctors as well. How do you respond to that?
Well, it's simply not true, right? We have so many different eyewitness testimonies from people on the ground, from people who have worked in Gaza as healthcare workers, internationally trained foreign doctors, where this is just simply not true. And even if it were true, would that constitute and allow for an airstrike on a hospital? It would not, even by the provisions under like international humanitarian law. It would not be sufficient. I'm not a legal expert, but you can turn to a legal expert to understand that. So it is very disappointing and frustrating as we continue to hear the media and journalists kind of parrot the lines of Israel says, Israel says. At what point do we consider, especially from the point of how people get their information is largely, unfortunately, still through mainstream media, not through independent media, but through mainstream media, this obfuscation of the truth when we're parroting what Israel says as the justification for attacking hospitals or attacking healthcare workers.
You've been listening to a clip of In Bed with the Elephant with me, your host, Adrian Harewood. Be sure to check out the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. And please be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast and write a review. We love hearing from you.